as culture evolves, so too does cinema, and culture has an impact on cinema, vice versa. That's what we're going to talk about today. I think this could be a part of a larger series because there are so many influences, little to big, that happen around the world that changed how we watch movies and what type of movies came during certain time periods. I was talking to you a lot. Horror has changed dramatically.
Yeah, you said that about Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah, so...
Like a lot. You talked about it like a lot. A lot.
And it deserves to be talked about a lot.
The new movement, or many of the new movements in cinema, I think, might come out from independent filmmakers. That did. You know what I mean? Because they can take the risk, or they're more willing to take the risk.
Yeah, that's true.
In order to be noticed, to break through. Some aren't, though. I mean, some are, the mainstream. That was kind of cultural watershed moment in a way, as far as the type of violence and depravity,
Yeah, more so depravity than... Because it doesn't even... It makes you... You come out of that film thinking, wow, I that was insane, the things I saw, but you don't see so much as it's implied.
Yes, right, yeah. Which is probably better.
Yeah, well, that takes serious skill to be able to accomplish that. And it has the impact as though you see all these people torn to shreds and eaten alive, but that doesn't actually happen, But that shows how impactful a movie it is. And the correlation or causation, despite those two not being the same.
They're not.
We all know that. Was Vietnam, which...
Yeah, you said that.
Well, that was a time period you lived through, right? You weren't able to be drafted, but you were alive and kind of probably aware of what was going on.
I hate to say this. I mean, I didn't...
You didn't get it?
Well, and it's not that I wasn't too young to understand it. I just didn't pay a lot of attention to it,
Yeah.
And I don't know why. Maybe it's just, I don't know. But it didn't impact me all that much. Now, people were watching and seeing, casualty counts, on the news and, footage of combat and everything. So, and I know a lot of people did watch it a lot, and saw it and everything. So, you think that because it was on television, just such graphic...
Mm-hmm. That's my perspective, yeah, because I think families, like the households of World War II vets, it was only exposed to the people who were there. They were the only ones who really knew the raw gore. The reality, truly, of how bad it was. And I think I'm speaking for them here, but I think because it was looked at as a just war,
mm-hmm.
they didn't have the same type of guilt. And then Vietnam is the opposite end of the paradigm, where they were drafted, so they weren't like gung-ho for this war.
Yeah.
They also were dealing with non-uniform troops, so they could have massacred non-combatants depending on what was going on and not really had known. I mean, that's always brought up.
I mean, I think they really tried not to, but
I think so too.
Those are the people that tried to kill him, though. I mean, they were put in a very difficult situation.
Yeah, no, I agree, but there was probably times where. Well, I here's something that you may be aware of. Have you ever heard the phrase "frag out"?
Well, I know it means to frag somebody,
Well,
kill
it
'em.
became common because during Vietnam,
They'd
like
shoot themselves?
no, they would do it to their superior officer.
Well, I do know that, yeah.
There was like just acts of rebellion that I don't know were so common in World War II was
No.
very common in Vietnam.
No. I mean, it was just a whole different type of combat. I mean, World War II was like considered as close to total war as we've ever been in. Now, not all wars.
Everyone was on board for the most part.
Well, and the numbers too were just so much more. Now, Vietnam was
Smaller
limited.
in scale, yeah.
Yeah. So, and then I think that the objectives were different. I mean, in Germany, it's like destroy it.
Mm-hmm. And like if that was televised too, despite it being a much clearer good and bad narrative,
Yeah.
it's still having that infiltrate the household would have very likely impacted the culture and the cinema of the time if that were the case. I think monster movies would have taken a quicker turn. But in the 70s, you're starting to get harder edges to characters.
Mm-hmm.
And the same is obviously to be said for the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, where you have this cannibalistic family. This guy's wearing the skin of someone he killed.
Right.
And he is ugly in a way that Frankenstein, for a modern audience.
Yeah.
And it's actually, it's not like it has to be told to you. It just is. You get that right away.
Well, the morality slipped or loosened up through this. Well, definitely in the '60s and then into the '70s. That impacted a type of film like Texas Chainsaw 2, where they had done a movie like that in the '40s or '50s. I mean, it would have been banned. I mean, it would have been considered almost, pornography. It was just so disturbing. So the morality of what you're willing to accept had changed in the 60s and 70s.
Exactly. So by having housewives and children who are watching Vietnam on the news, now it opens the door for we can make a movie like this where we have like these absolutely repugnant characters, this family, and it's like it gets right to the root of horror because you've now opened the door for people to be able to witness something that is truly horrifying. It doesn't have to be watered down.
Yeah.
The violence is obscured but not watered down. It's all insinuated in its full glory.
Yeah.
Or gory. Because that's the pun.
That's terrible.
So that's the way that I see it. And it changed it forever because slashers, we've talked about this many times. And who's the best slasher, we're getting into. When did it start? Like, was Psycho the start? And it could be.
But you know what? I don't know if I consider... Well, he wasn't a serial slasher. He just killed
like
the
a
one
rampage.
person. I mean, and the person came to him.
Yeah.
As opposed to him hunting. So who would that be? The first serial slasher? Would it be Jason? See,
they came to him too. They went to Camp Crystal Lake. I mean, that is
but he pursued them at the lake.
I'm just saying. Okay, I guess I'm just slightly confused.
But serial, more than one, several. Like he's
okay. So that's not not a huge.
No,
part
what's his name? Probably
to,
would have killed more had anyone gone to that
I guess
hotel.
the American version would be Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Again, they came to his abode. Does that?
Yeah, but that's not a classic slasher movie, though. I mean, that's a raving lunatic family. They're subhuman,
That's the creation of it, though. Like that's what slasher doesn't. I mean,
okay,
lunacy is a benefit. to the slasher.
But they're not like frothing at the mouth type insane. I mean, Leatherface was basically an animal.
Mm-hmm.
You had human functionality.
Michael has some animalistic characters.
Yeah, he does. You're right. I don't know. Oh, anyway, doesn't matter. But, I thought about it a lot. You're talking about the Second World War. And we've talked about Starship Trooper before. But that was, like, during the Second World War, there was a lot of propaganda-type media.
Right.
And that was, Starship Trooper was basically that, but, in a future setting. Like it always talks about do your part, do your part. Like these kids are stepping on bugs on the sidewalk and stuff like that. So even kids who can't go into combat are doing their part at home to, even though it's meaningless, it's not the same, these bugs on the sidewalks have nothing to do with the insects that they're fighting somewhere in a galaxy.
I do find it interesting that you mention it in the correct text, subtext, when you didn't realize it was
Shut up. I knew I shouldn't have brought it up. But, I mean, you can watch it on another level, too. Where you don't have to see it.
That's the highest level, though.
No,
understand the satire of it.
But it was a good action movie, though. It was a good action movie. And that's how I saw it. And, I knew that that stuff was over the top, but there could be a future society, because apparently in that future society, they'd fought some type of war. Because it's like his teacher lost his hand, if you remember. No,
I thought his teacher never served.
No.
It's been a
He's the guy, he ended up being his drill sergeant. He said, come on, what do you want to do, live forever? Don't you remember that phrase?
I watched it in high school.
All right, well.
I remember Neil Patrick Harris is in it.
Yeah. But he's not. The teacher is, his drill instructor.
I know what he looks like, though. I know the guy you're talking
bald
about.
And,
Okay.
I can tell.
I'm almost positive I know what his face looks
like. Because in the classroom, he talks about the difference between a citizen and something else. It's a
civilian?
Yeah, I think that's what it is. A citizen and a civilian. So a civilian is someone who just is, lives in this country. A citizen is somebody who would go to war for it or would protect it.
Yeah. Yeah, well, propaganda is just, that is a huge part. It's like how film tries to impact culture the most.
Mm-hmm.
And it bleeds into the theory of the scared parent syndrome that we saw a lot pre-2000s, but it bled over the 2000s. Like now, like video games became the big boogeyman when it comes to that.
It was explicit lyrics at one point in time.
Yeah.
Social media now.
Well, yeah, that's very true. Everyone's saying it's gonna, like, this next generation's screwed.
They start watching too much television. It's gonna.
Yeah. Yeah, that does put it in a light where it's like everyone's always trying to be entertained for the most part.
Well, and the news entertainment technology is overconsumed, and it gives the older generation concerns.
Yeah, but that's you brought up. I mean, it's a recurring narrative.
Yeah.
It was television before.
Well, name some movie. Did you do like a list of movies, or you did?
I have some off the top of my head.
Okay, well that's cool.
Well, Italian neorealism. I can give you a movie example, but it's a film movement. We talked about this also in the car.
But how is it a cultural thing?
Well, do you want to talk propaganda or
no? Just reflections of culture or responses to culture. Because I'll give you a really, really good example.
Well, can you say that wars are reflections of culture? Because that is something that I take into account.
Well, they're part of it.
Yeah, well, true. Yeah, culture is much pushed. But go on, give your example.
Well, here it's just one.
You're acting like I didn't come up with this video idea. Like I don't have examples.
You did, but I start talking and you When you talked about the Italian neo-fascist film movement, I'm like, oh my God.
It's anti-fascism, bro. It doesn't like fascism.
Okay. I know, you just, that and the foreign shit. I mean, there's thousands of American references we could talk about. And you got to talk about Italian.
Well, people need to be informed. It's edutainment.
Well, okay, The Social Network, remember? Big deal, The Social Network. Several years later, not that many years later, they come out with the movie The Social Dilemma, which is the problems with...
Isn't that a documentary?
Yeah, it is, but it was a fairly big deal. And I mean, the one here saying here's the coming of the new age. Mm-hmm. And then 8 years later, I'm guessing at that, it's like this is the problem with the coming of the new technology. You know what I mean? One way we celebrated it, and the celebration of the beginning of it, and then within a few years we're talking about the problems it's creating.
I'm not trying to argue just for argument's sake, but so The Social Network wasn't bringing to light the issues with social media. So it wasn't like the documentary was. So it's kind of touching upon different stuff, but it's a character study of the type of person that it would take to be a Mark Zuckerberg, though. And it is like,
but it's bigger than him. It's bigger than him. It's the start of social media.
We know that.
Granted, I mean, it's
one of those things that you have the context of the real world,
right?
It
was about him to a great degree, but
he screwed everyone he worked with, his best friend, and then.
But I mean,
how
every person who's ever, every major entrepreneur did
to
that.
be
Ray
great.
Kroc did that.
Yeah. Generally, to be great, you can't be nice.
Right. Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I don't think he's. I mean, I'm not a big Zuck fan, but I mean, business. The guy got whatever that I can't remember the guy's name. He's got part of the masthead, or he's considered part.
Oh well, I know the actor's name, but I don't know the real life guy's name. Yeah, Andrew Garfield.
No, maybe
whom I'm not a huge fan of.
No, I'm not.
I don't hate him. I'm just not a big fan of his acting.
He was a bad Spider-Man. I thought he was awful.
People loved him as Spider-Man. That's something maybe we think about as a part of this episode. But let's go there. I don't have anything prepared.
Well, that wasn't anything specific. I mean, I didn't want to discuss it.
Superhero.
Okay, you just changed everything on me. All right, go ahead. Superhero.
2000s, though. They had done it earlier. The Incredible Hulk, cool TV show. You have the animated Spider-Man, Batman. Those are really cool, but they're for kids. And then it's like after... It was in 2008 when Iron Man came out.
That's what happened.
So it kept following. I don't understand why or how. Rather, it was a cultural lightning in a bottle moment from 2008 to 2020.
The Superman series had done well. With Christopher Reeves.
Right. But
I mean, they run out of, as you can see, they run out of ideas. They're like, look.
And I think that speaks to the culture of the time too. That Christopher Reeves character did so well. It was weird because I think that was 70s, but it was more like a throwback to like the
setting,
quaint time. No. How it illustrates everything.
Well, I mean,
not illustrates, but. The story's told in a way where it's like the American dream is still alive type of deal, and it's more.
Well, yeah, because that's
wacky,
what Superman
and,
from comics was the American way.
Yeah,
was it truth?
Well, but the 70s were not that at all in cinema and in real life. I mean, New York, which is Metropolis, was maybe slightly worse than it is today. You know what I mean?
Times Square was
crime. It was Crime City.
Yeah.
But it's not. I mean, he's a crime stopper, but it's not like, Gotham City is more like let's make it even more. You know what I mean? Let's actually illustrate it the way that we feel it is.
Right. Or just make it darker. Well,
Now,
but
was the Superman then a response to, like, hey, things aren't, there is hope?
I don't believe so. I think it was just that was the concept of Superman at that time.
Okay, so then it's harkening back to the time period that it was created,
Yeah. Which, I don't know when it was.
rather than a reflection of the culture.
Correct. Yeah, in my opinion. Because you're right. I mean, like, I don't know. I was still in high school, so that was in the 70s. And you're right. Well, Metropolis is based on New York, but they're not going to make a mirror image of it.
Right.
But you're right. The 70s in New York was horrible. They'd gone bankrupt, I believe, at that time. I mean, it was a mess. But Metropolis was a thriving, clean, beautiful city. In the movie.
Yeah. Okay, what is your take? What, at least on the birth of the superhero genre? We don't even have to get into like the actual MCU proper.
Mm-hmm.
Like we can talk X-Men and Spider-Man because that opened the gates. The floodgates had opened once they're like, whoa, X-Men is. It wasn't breaking records the way that the Avengers was, but it proved it was
Viable.
a viable subgenre without doubt, and that there was an appetite for it.
And I don't know why. Maybe, because they're escapism movies.
Yeah.
So
True.
I think it's sometimes when times are more depressing, escapism movies are more popular. And I don't know if that's the case in this or not. But like I said,
Well,
the
think
audience,
of the time period. So it's post 9/11 in Iraq, Iran.
Yeah.
And Iron Man is like right around the time of the housing crisis.
Yeah.
Same with the Dark Knight. But the Dark Knight seems more a cultural reflection, and Iron Man maybe a escape. Although, I mean, it does have some commentary on the Middle Eastern conflicts, just by way of the original villains being of that.
Yeah, well, that's true, and that's surprising, because you would not do that again today. You would not do that again. Would have Mideastern, not in like a movie like that. You just wouldn't have them, because Islamophobia is far more
Called out.
Yeah,
and
protected against. I mean,
yeah,
the whole United Kingdom is basically rewriting civil rights over that. They really are.
Well, that's probably a good thing.
No, there's not. It's insane, but they're trying to get American tech companies to put in like to censor out certain types of content, and we should go to war over that. There is no effing way that their ridiculous anti-free speech laws should affect American tech companies. We could just say, we're going to shut it all down in UK. You just don't have it. I'd prefer that, even though they'd lose that market share, but I mean, no way. You don't give in.
Well, that's up to them, and they should do that.
Well, they could.
You have to find a way to leverage whatever power you have.
They may have trouble doing that, to be honest, because they're like, I don't know, like there's international trade. Well, I don't want to get into all that stuff, but anywho,
well, I know the main thing. I mean, we're talking a lot about kind of modern politics, and I know this will capture or pique your appetite, but it is like this third wave feminism, this call for like the pendulum swinging back to even white liberals saying there needs to be more inclusivity, to the point that they're like, well, we have to start making IPs. We have to give people of other races these historically white characters.
I mean, I'm fine with that. It's just don't horseshoe things into.
Well, it's a huge reflection of.
I'd be okay with a black Superman. Superman could be, he is an alien. And I don't mean black people are aliens. I'm just saying, he doesn't have to be
Here's
white.
what I think the fear comes down to is that once you flip that switch, it's impossible to flip it back. That the outcry would be insane if they did a black Superman and then they went back to
we're living through that now where they're doing that.
Switching it back.
No, that there's a lot of
Characters being switched.
There's characters being switched, and there's a lot of people just that don't like it. It is showing in the box office, I think.
But that's why I think they're upset. Just like trying to logistically play devil's advocate.
Oh, good. You can pause that. I forgot.
Yeah, if I'm doing devil's advocate, that's what the fear is, I think, for those people who are getting really pissed. And I'm not getting crazy pissed, but I'm also not, like, I don't know how in support of it I am.
I just want him to be entertained. I do. I mean,
yeah, I
don't
think
mind
for
being
you,
enlightened.
some of the IPs aren't nearly as sentimentally important to you, though. I don't think Batman or Superman or anyone like that's like a big deal to you.
So you hold it dear and you don't want to see it go into.
But
fundamentally
to your
changed.
point, yeah, if the best actor is black, whatever.
Yeah.
But also, what's to stop, like, create the whatever? Why does it have to be that character then? I mean, I don't know. I'm trying not to step on anything, but like people say all the time that there is black culture and that there's differences in culture between people who are black, white, Mexican, Asian, what have you. Well, if that is integral to that character, I think it was not Morgan Freeman, but Denzel Washington who said, like, they were trying to make their movie about race, and he said it's about culture because he had, I think it was called Fences.
Oh yeah.
And he was like there's just parts of growing up as a black person that you only understand by being black.
Yeah.
Right. Well, so we're talking about Bruce Wayne, who is made up.
Yeah.
But if he was black, then you are supposing that his entire upbringing would be different through the lens of him being a black young man, you know?
Oh, yeah, right. I don't know. I mean, the big thing is about all the superhero movies. They've just faded from prominence. They're not what they used to be. And I don't know what if there will ever be, a juggernaut like that can churn out things of a similar specific genre and be that much of a moneymaker.
Well, Superman just made the most for a standalone Superman film. I mean, inflation
adjusted
helped, not adjusted.
You don't have
not inflation adjusted. If it was adjusted, I don't think it would have made.
But you don't have. That's good, and I'm sure they're very, very happy. I just don't know how much they can use that going forward as a force behind it that's going to make other, either sequels or related movies popular. You can do a one-off.
I think they can.
Not like it was back in the day. There's
no
way.
That's like the zenith of film,
trillion, or not trillion, I bet you $6 to $7 billion the MCU.
Yeah, well, that's the zenith of money making in film. Is what they were able to accomplish. Right. So yeah, I mean that's a safe bet.
But how many movies did that well? Yeah, I could say 8 very profound moneymaker movies. And Superman, like I say, that might just be it. I mean, I don't know if a sequel is necessarily going to do that well. I mean, it'll probably do pretty well.
Yeah,
but it's not. It hasn't created it.
I guess there is something to be said that the money making movies are generally not going to be the ones that are pushing nor being pushed by culture. I mean, it's pure escapism, I think, to your point. And that could be affected more so by culture, but like I guess or not domestically, but internationally, people love these, like, the big movies, because it's just like they get to be out of the fucking streets in like the heat of like India or something like that, you know. So they're like, 3-hour movie, I can pay whatever 10 rubles
to cool off.
And I don't have to be out in this anymore. So there's that. But so going back to horror, because you like horror and it's not foreign, and that a lot of my examples were foreign, because obviously there's culture in other countries, though you don't admit it. Is that
there is? I didn't know that.
There was, in the early 2000s, like Saw, Hostel, America was starting to pick up on like the hyper violent, they call it torture porn films.
Mm-hmm.
That was, I think it coincided time wise with Abu Ghraib. Are you familiar with that? I think it's where they were basically like just torturing terrorists.
Yeah, I don't think that's related. I'm sorry, maybe you do.
Why not the 90s then? You think that the culture wasn't
at some
ready
point in
for
time,
it?
I mean, you know, someone comes through with a film at a specific time. Why not the 80s? I mean, the 80s had Scarface talking about the chainsaw scene. You know, cuts a guy's arm off. I mean, it is brutal.
Well, but that also is because of the culture, because it was being, people were becoming more aware of like cartel-esque violence.
Yes, that's what that was. That was because of the Cuban. We brought a bunch of Cubans that Castro said, "Hey, if you want them, you can have them."
And we took them.
Yeah, and you know, I mean, he emptied out his prisons and his insane asylums and everything. I mean, he's like, hey, you know, if they'll take them, this is a drag on our, you know, social safety net. We'll give them to somebody else.
Well, I'm not sure why we took prisoners. It was in the 80s or 70s?
I think it was, you know,
so that wasn't Reagan, right?
I think.
It was?
Reagan, well, remember,
because he was an anti-communist.
Right. Yeah.
And he saw it as a way to...
Yeah. We're the good guys.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, we'll take them in. And there wasn't that many of them, but they almost all went to Florida, you know, Miami.
Well, why wouldn't you?
Right.
It's very close.
Yeah. And there was already a fair amount of Cubans there.
Yeah. But it does, in a way, it makes them look, it delegitimizes Cuba.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, we can't.
Yeah, we can't
run as a country. Yeah, exactly. But I mean, I think there is something to be said about that. Is that, you know, that we had okayed the torture of people, and then you see that reflected in film shortly afterwards. I think you don't want to see it because you don't want it to be.
I don't think it was that big a deal. I mean,
yeah,
but
that's the way you want to. That's the way you want to see. Some of these people are very tuned in to shit like that, especially if they thought it was horrific, and a lot of them probably did.
I don't. Maybe your generation or something. I don't know. I mean, I'm trying to delegitimize.
But also at that time too. I mean, you had like the jihadi beheading videos that were also being circulated. That was a different time period. Like my age group, we grew up with, on the internet, there was just, you could see some fucked up shit.
Yeah.
But it was that came just a few years after this. But it was like CNN's reporting, hey, there's this guy who's being held captive by Al Qaeda, and they're going to cut his head off.
Yeah, a famous journalist. I think his name Daniel Pearl, maybe, or something like that, or Daniel Stern, something like it. That was a big deal. Yeah, And they'd cut his head off on live or on on a videotape a beheading.
I mean, in that, like, now the cartel does stuff like that. I mean, there's like videos like that are a dime a dozen, as weird as that sounds. But it was a cultural moment where people.
Well, okay, so that that would be reflected in movies like Saw and Hostel. Those. It's like, well, we got to compete with like real.
Yeah, I mean, whatever. But the whole conflict in and of itself, and the lengths both sides were willing to go to. If you just want to be straight up about it, you know what I mean? Because a lot of people would be liberal and like probably. So there's communist sympathizers, but maybe they were Islamist sympathizers. Yeah. You didn't see that to be negative for whatever reason, and then they thought, okay, what we're doing to get the information out of these guys is abhorrent, and that's what I'm trying to comment on with this. Though I don't know, Eli Roth was who did Hostel. I don't know which side he would have, especially because
he's Jewish.
Yeah,
I think
he probably isn't like an Islam
pure
apologist.
Yeah.
But whatever. I do think that had a huge influence.
I didn't know that was Eli Roth.
Yeah, he did Green Inferno as well.
Yeah, I mean, I like Eli Roth. He did another movie. Can't remember the name. I'm trying to think. They were in a foreign country, and I don't know if it was a natural disaster or like a coup. But anyway, it doesn't matter. It's a lesser known film of his.
He did another one. It's not that. It's the name is the phrase when you're like cooped up in a place too long.
Stir crazy?
No, you want to get out. It's Cabin Fever.
Oh,
you remember that?
I do. I like that movie a lot. I really like that movie. Well, I read things. I don't know. I was reading something about it. They said it wasn't a good movie. I'm like, it was a great movie. I loved it. It was really good.
It was entertaining.
I mean, yeah, I loved it. Yeah.
A cool concept. I mean, it's not like groundbreaking.
No, but I mean, it was an earlier film that dealt with. I mean, this just dealt with a disease on a very small. It wasn't like a zombie apocalypse type thing.
Yeah, but there's movies that need to be made like that because every movie can't be like $100 million budget movie, you know?
Oh yeah, I mean, there's so many zombie apocalypse type movies on. I'm just like I'll surf through to try to find something. I was like, Jesus, every single one. Mm-hmm. World has ended. 2 people are alive. They meet each other. Oh my God, enough. Unless there's something really special about it, I'm not interested. Now, like 28 days later may have been one of the more.
It was able to capture a national scale whilst feeling more intimate.
Yeah, well, it was good acting and good actors in it.
And a good director too. Yeah, Danny Boyle. Oh. He did Trainspotting and others. Yeah, I'm a big fan. Yeah, Eli Roth. It is cool, but and also Hostel does have some themes of xenophobia too, which I think is actually also reflected post 9/11. Is I feel like people are probably for the most part not as trusting as of foreigners,
Well, after watching Hostel, I don't think I want to go to Eastern Europe. Yeah.
And I'll just mention some things here. Like here's ones that are very specific on their. I'm getting rid of this. I'm sorry.
Hang on, I'll be right back.
Go ahead.
All right. These are about specific intents, not necessarily like some are big scale, others, what they're trying to bring to light. Like Brokeback Mountain, for instance, I mean, it's about 2 gay men, but they're rural, okay?
Yeah, and I think been accepted in cities like San Francisco.
Right. Well, there it's like I'm gay. It's like, yeah, everybody's gay, but
but it's
very true.
everywhere. It's ubiquitous. It's just not as well known. You know, in places like wherever they were, Montana, like Avatar,
Wyoming.
Wyoming.
Well, just and also that was a big deal for film because it was more like mainstream type of
big time actors,
Hollywood. Yeah, actually putting it on. It wasn't like because we had talked about this. Like there was queer film, and it was more like the San Franciscos of filmmaking, like John Waters. It's like you're getting a gay product with him, but like Ang Lee had done The Incredible Hulk, and now he's doing Brokeback Mountain. It's just very, very different. He had a lot of cachet with his name, and then he's doing something like this. And for that time period, it actually was a big deal. Whereas now,
kind of broke through, in a way.
Yeah, it transcended just being, hey, we're making a movie about gays.
It was a major release.
It was a major release that also had the goods. It was actually good.
Right.
It wasn't just a movie that's people are only talking about it because it's gay.
Right. Like Avatar was about environmentalism.
Right. Yeah.
X-Men, you said, and I feel you're probably correct, it was the acceptance of, gay in society.
Gays and also there probably is some minority slips in there too. Just segregated schools and not being accepted by society.
Right. That they're special in their own way. I don't mean it that way, but like your upbringing in a person who came up in an urban environment, we were different, but they're both good or worthwhile, but in different ways. So the X-Men were different than us, but better in that case, but different in it, whatever. I don't know if I'm making sense.
Well, they have their own unique challenges, but they have their own unique strengths.
Right. And do you ever hear of the Birth of Nations?
Yeah, I mean, I was going to mention that when we were talking propaganda, but I mean, that's like one of the earliest examples of film that has a narrative. I don't know if you knew that.
Well, it kind of legitimized the Klan.
Yeah. And how the mighty have fallen.
Yeah.
That's a joke. I'm not a sympathizer.
I didn't get what you said. I mean, they watched it at the White House. The White House gave their kind of seal of approval for it. So that really legitimized the Klan.
Who was president in like that was like 1920? Woodrow Wilson?
I think it was Wilson, yeah. But Wilson, I mean, he was a racist. But a lot of people were back then. I mean, I think it was Wilson who eliminated all blacks from government service.
Oh, that's kind of a...
Yeah.
It's kind of a big deal.
I think it was him. It was somebody in that time period. I'm almost sure it was him. Oh, wait, don't look up.
Yeah, that's too
warming.
On the nose.
Yeah, it's too close to be symbolic. It's
literally just propaganda.
Right. Now, here's one that and I'll stop just listing movies, but Godzilla, believe it or not.
It's about the atom bomb.
Yeah.
Yeah, the fear of what had been unlocked by unleashing this type of radiation upon a nation.
Right, yeah. That
this could affect, which is really cool. But and also it's like reliving the fear of having this big of a weapon unleashed upon them.
Yeah.
It's like it has multiple different ways it works, which is really cool.
Right.
I mean, if I was Japanese, I would be scared always.
I wouldn't live in Tokyo.
Yeah.
They always talk about Tokyo's been destroyed like
Godzilla
30 times.
Yeah. If I was in the Godzilla verse, I would probably move elsewhere.
Let's move to Tokyo. No, we can't move there.
And then there's Mothra and
Ghidra
and
Mechagodzilla,
Ghidorah. There's
Ghidorah. I think
there's one who looks
Heads.
like a guy. Yeah, Ghidorah. I think. I'm definitely Destroya. Cool names. One of them just looks like a guy who's the size of Godzilla, but he has like He looks like a futuristic guy.
You're not talking
You have
about
to see it to believe it.
Power Rangers, aren't you?
He looks like a Power Ranger, but he's like the size of a
Godzilla.
yeah. But at least with Power Rangers, they all put their suits together to make the big guy.
Yeah.
This is just a big guy.
Right.
I don't know what he is. Maybe I'll watch it just to get his lore. But yeah, let's talk propaganda. I mean, it is kind of on the nose, but it is the best example of how cinema
Anything could be
influences
considered
culture.
it, though. I mean,
You can make
it's any
type
attempt
of,
to
any war
influence,
movie could be
generally from the
considered.
government. What?
Any war movie,
Well, I don't necessarily agree
even
with
if
that.
it's anti-war.
Well, yeah, but I don't necessarily agree with it. Sometimes it's just, this is what happened. Like, there's a one called, and it had Mel Gibson, and it's called We Were Soldiers.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think there was no viewpoint or anything necessarily. It was just, this was the
No,
beginning
I
of the Vietnam War. We went to war.
I think it's
This is what
propagandic in that it's a archiving the strength of the American spirit, and that is what Mel Gibson's character is embodying. So that
He may have just been playing a gung-ho
but
person.
despite he didn't win the war, but he's still a hero.
Yeah.
So there's
I never saw the
propaganda
whole
to that.
thing, so it's hard for me to. I'm
You have
surprised,
a
but
habit of doing that.
there's parts
is
of
weird.
it crazy, man. They called out an airstrike on themselves because they're being
Yeah.
overrun. And
I
that is
saw
a
it.
cool
I
film.
saw the movie. Yeah, the
But,
whole movie.
I mean, he calls it on their location because they're being overrun.
And the one Chinese guy just gets cooked.
Yeah.
Well, that would be a bad way to go, man. I would not
Yeah.
be happy
No.
about that.
I mean, it's bad being burned to death, but you can't breathe.
Yeah, that's
There's
the
no
part
oxygen.
that you generally don't think
Yeah.
about, and
I
that
mean,
would
in
fucking
addition to the
suck.
incredible pain from burning, you also cannot breathe.
Because it's drowning is always looked at as so scary. I
But
guess I
you're
would
not on
much
fire.
rather, drown than
No, I don't like. Yeah, it'd probably be
I don't like the
somewhat
prospect of either. But
Yeah.
you're being choked and
Yeah.
asphyxiated if you're on fire.
Yeah.
Well, I can go foreign if you want.
All right, go ahead.
Well,
I'm going to jump in and...
The Italian neorealism
Okay.
is made that way because the studios had been bombed in World War
that's
II.
not a cultural influence.
Well,
That's just a
their movies
necessity.
became more realistic in the sense that they stopped using sets, which was like the big Hollywood system. Like all of those fucking movies were just all made they just had lots.
Okay, that's not a cultural.
It was hugely cultural for Italy.
Well,
Italia.
it was only in response to a setback. I mean, it wasn't reflective of anything.
It was progress through having their resources
Destruction.
diminished.
Okay. Well, I mean, if it made better movies, but okay. I know you
It did
love
because
talking.
Italian neorealism went on to inspire other film movements. Like I think French New Wave, which
Lithuanian.
well, French New Wave is just looked at very fondly by major filmmakers, Scorsese, others. Well, I think that whole
And
group.
his friends.
So you have Spielberg, Martin Scorsese, Brian De Palma.
Did
Francis
Spielberg made
Ford.
anything right?
Recently, I don't think, but he's.
I mean,
older.
he doesn't really need to.
Well, he has just nothing that's.
Good.
Yeah,
Well
like
known.
Fableman was the last one. It was Oscar nominated. I haven't seen it yet though, because it's just doesn't speak to me. But he's not making blockbusters the same way he did. You know, he made Ready Player One. He's in the part of his career where he's making the shit
Vanity.
he wanted to make.
Yeah.
And yeah, probably a little bit of vanity.
Not,
but
I shouldn't say it like that. Like what you're saying. Just I think a movie about this would be interesting, so I'm going to make it, which is
Right.
fine. You know, I mean, not always going to hit a home run or
I'm fine.
a good one, huh?
I'm fine.
I'm fine. And so, else were you going to say? You're just getting ready to say something and you stopped. What was it?
Yeah, well, Italian neorealism kind of went on to inspire like modern cinema. Because you have like we lacked.
Oh, because of the realism part, and we weren't doing that because our studios weren't blown up.
Yeah,
we're still doing studio films.
And in a weird way, I think it was Marlon Brando who brought it closer. I don't know how, because he wasn't the typical theatric actor.
He was when he was younger, I think.
Yeah. I don't know. A lot of people say that
in a movie
that he inspired more naturalistic acting than the type of dialogue that was.
Well, he did
by Charleston Heston or like other people like that at the time.
Well, he did A Streetcar Named Desire, I think, was because it was very realistic to the point of being dark and like just someone whose life is unfulfilling and
Well, I mean, if you want to talk domestic, just look at the entire 60s and 70s in film and how that had been just completely molded by the hippie movement and then the crash of that, where it was almost as though we were in the 70s mourning the most culturally important movement that our nation had, I think. Or at least that had the 70s is just like violent. The characters are more morally gray. Everything's about the problems that they face, everyday struggle, as opposed to like the typical
realism.
That's instead of the typical like success story.
Yeah, superhero or not, but
hero's journey, But the 60s is definitely more. It's new Hollywood, really. It started with Bonnie and Clyde.
In, with sexual revolution, Vietnam protests, drug culture. And you have to remember all those people were.
It was rebellion.
Baby boomers. So baby boomers, they talk about like in a like say a country or a society, and if there's too many young people as a percentage, you face revolution. You face instability.
Right.
And because the older folks have accumulated wealth and the younger folks have not yet, and but they have a big say in what happens through protests or however. And if
that makes a lot of sense why the 60s were the 60s then.
Well, yeah, because they had a big voice because there were so many of them.
Right. Whereas, like, you could,
but they are brought up, and then they are brought up in the 50s and were super idealistic, too.
Because it was the golden age of America.
Yeah, I mean, there wasn't, they can worry about Vietnam because they never, it's like,
we didn't have any civil wars going on here,
Well, we didn't, people dropping bombs we just go to school, it's a house over our head, get fed every day.
That's why, so I watched, it was a movie with James Dean, where he's a high school student, Rebel Without a Cause.
Yeah.
And that movie perfectly kind of encapsulates that mentality that you're speaking of, and the movie just feels wackadoo to watch because like you see movies that are like that, but just first of all the way they act is just so different. It seems kind of alien to me for a little bit, and you're constantly like, what are they bitching about?
Yeah,
but that's part of the point of the movie.
It's like Rebel Without a Cause.
Yeah, their parents are trying. They are there. They're present.
Yeah.
And yet, James Dean is just like he can't. He needs that conflict, so he's creating internal conflict. They're creating these obstacles that they must overcome. And then come the 70s, it's not that weird juxtaposition anymore. It's like, well, they're growing up in, crime city, whatever. Like, crime's at an all-time high. There's poverty. There's gas shortages. There's hostages. Whatever the fuck is going on in the 70s. It feels more substantiated.
There's actual problems.
Yeah, there's actual problems. So you have someone like Taxi Driver, and you're not like, this doesn't feel alien. You're like, yeah, his life sucks. And he
lives in New York? Okay, I get it.
Yeah, he's been driven to this. Like, the narrative makes sense. There's not that weird disconnect.
Mm-hmm.
And but it does work for Rebel Without a Cause, because that's like, they're like highlighting that. But just a huge drastic shift from that movie to any movie about like a youngster's conflicts once you just move just a decade further.
Yeah. I think, well, like in Rebel Without a Cause, just navigating life, regardless of your obstacles.
It's always difficult.
It's always difficult.
But
so he doesn't know what he wants to be.
He doesn't know how it's defined. Yeah.
Yeah.
He knows, like, he wants to be a man, so he has a vision of masculinity for himself.
Mm-hmm.
The coming of age, he doesn't know, what do I
do next, or how do
I assess the progress that I'm making towards that.
Was he in high school?
Yeah.
Is there a drag race in that?
It's not a drag. They do this weird thing where
chicken.
Yeah. They try to drive as close to a cliff as they can and then jump out.
Yeah.
And the one guy
Can't
gets
get out.
stuck in his car. Yeah. And that's like the perfect.
What would you put did he have a seatbelt on?
Yeah, he does. His seatbelt gets stuck. I didn't think about that until you brought it up. Why would you wear a fucking seatbelt?
Because
Because it didn't help him when he hit the bottom. I'll tell you that much.
It's like, I'm going to drive my car towards a cliff, but I'm going to be very careful how I do it.
It's like Pain and Gain. Do you remember when The Rock says, "Click it or
That's I
ticket"?
thought of that. Why are you putting him a seatbelt on? Click it or ticket.
Yeah. Now that movie is something that really deserves to be dissected fully. It's just so...
Rebel Without a Cause?
Yeah.
Oh, it's a classic.
It is.
I mean,
James Dean very well could have been one of those actors that's...
He was. Now, he didn't do a lot because he died, but...
I think it would even surpass, like, the Steve McQueen. Who knows? I mean, it could have been, like, Bogart level.
Yes.
And who knows how he would age.
Yeah.
I mean, because he was,
Because would he be Brando? Would he be Brando in his older age? Because that's a huge,
Yeah.
But he was. Brando was great, and then was weird.
Well, he wasn't for a very long. I mean, he was good, and then he just fell off a cliff. He just didn't do anything. I mean, I'm fairly sure.
Yeah. Going back to Superman, Christopher Reeves, he wasn't a big fan of him because he said he felt like he had so much more to give, and he was very exclusive about the projects. He's like, I only do one movie a year. Don't give them too much. How are you supposed to get into a role if you're trying to do more than that?
Yeah.
And Christopher Reeves was like, well, I love to act, so I don't want to just not do one a year.
Yeah.
And how, not ironic, but tragic is it that, he had that taken away from him to where he didn't have that option anymore. But, yeah, that movie and how it differs from the times that have more of a defined struggle, I find just very intriguing. Because that's essential to understanding the movie, is that there was Korea, but even that gets very much overlooked in the sands of time.
It does, very much so. And I don't think it was nearly as long as Vietnam, because Vietnam was fairly long. But Korea just nobody even thinks about it.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if there was a movie made about it. I think there was, but it wasn't anything well known. Vietnam have had a fair amount.
If you think about it, and I do think this is another movie that is equally worth talking about, that Fight Club is the spiritual successor to Rebel Without a Cause.
In a way, I mean, it's a long time gap.
Huge time gap, and it's completely evolved for the time period.
But yeah, it is. But it's really very, very well, no, it's not similar. But
No, it is. I think so.
well,
In terms of what it's trying to communicate, yes.
yeah, about not knowing.
Where it's like, I can own I can buy all these like you can buy like in this, when you look at time, not subjectively but objectively, you can live like a little king compared to what they were doing like even 200 years ago.
Yeah,
You know, it's like I can have chocolate any day of the week, and I can make my kitchen look exactly how I want it to, but that's not true contentment. It's just consumerism, and
Yes.
that's the virus. It's these little things we do to make ourselves feel
creature comforts.
exactly. Our little comforts are masking the actual void of having meaning.
Okay.
And it shows the toxicity of trying to create these great conflicts in our minds to like substantiate who we are,
Yeah.
because that's what Edward Norton is trying to do, and that's what James James Dean,
You could
Jimmy Dean sausage.
Edward Dart
Norton.
There's another. Like Taxi Driver. There's a book called The Stranger, and it's very famous by Albert Camus,
Mm-hmm.
and it's kind of that's. I read part of it. Okay, I was supposed to read the whole thing, but I didn't. But it's just about someone who doesn't feel connected in his life. He just doesn't. Like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. You know, am I just supposed to enjoy myself? And you know, there's no purpose. And you know, I think that's what The Stranger was. But that's what, you know, really that's what Taxi Driver was, and that's what Edward Norton was. They were just existed. You know, they had no.
They're trying to find meaning.
Yes. Yeah.
And they create meaning.
Well, they're trying to create meaning.
Yeah, true. So for that, and I mean, again, it bleeds into the things that are going on. I mean, there was, I don't know if this is maybe too big a stretch, but radicalism in our enemies. They were being radicalized, and he was making little terror cells. Tyler Durden. I mean, we had seen that domestically, right? I mean, we had Waco. We also had OKC, where these...
OKC, yes, but not so much. So I never thought...
Waco was more...
They were preparing...
They were infringing on their rights, kind of.
Yeah, but, well, they were stockpiling guns and whatever, but they really hadn't struck out.
That's not illegal, though.
Well, they were making guns full automatic, and I think they're getting grenades.
Okay,
too.
well, that's, yeah.
But they didn't do anything.
They might have been doing stuff to kids, and if they were, then okay, yes, sniff around, whatever.
Yeah.
There was agents who had infiltrated them, and I think whenever they told them, "Hey, we're going to the compound," the guy was like, "Oh shit!" And I don't remember ever in any of the documentaries them saying, "You guys got to take them down." They're definitely doing stuff. I mean, Koresh was probably abusing the children of that group.
Yeah.
Probably,
Yeah.
Allegedly, I don't know, and
I talk a lot about that, so I don't know if they really had any.
I don't think that's the reason they went there, though.
It was the guns.
Purely, yeah,
It was the guns, yeah, because they're like, look, there's like 50 of them, you know, and they all live in this huge freaking house. Well, I mean, it's more than a house, compound, and they getting all these guns. I mean, we can't let them do that.
Yeah.
Well, did you know, like OKC, which was horrific, but that was in response and probably over responding to something called Ruby Ridge.
Yes.
Okay, so you can do that.
Yeah. And they all read that the same book that's from the Order. I forget what the fucking book is called. But yeah, it was like How to Stage a Revolution is whatever this book was.
Anarchist Cookbook?
I think so. Does that have a narrative to it?
I think, yeah, actually I saw the movie. I think. You should watch that movie.
Anarchist Cookbook?
Yeah.
It looks
Okay,
almost kind of poorly made, but it's cool. I mean, it's about domestic terrorists and stuff,
Yeah.
but of a different ilk than like you would think the ones today would be. You know,
Right.
they're just anti-society type folks. Well, we got off there.
But that's what I was hoping for with this.
Yeah, but I lose my train of thought, and I don't know my name.
Were you talking
anymore.
about? Well, we got to domestic terrorism from Fight Club,
Yeah.
and
But so there's always going to be, you're going to have, like they talk about coming of age stories, where you're going to have every generation, or probably multiple in a generation, coming of age stories for people who don't know what they're supposed to do.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Well, Fight Club seems to be much disaffected youth. And
Yes. Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
They're
not that young.
Yeah, young adults.
Young
like
adults,
20s,
okay.
30s.
Yeah.
And like that one of the variables was they might have had a dad, but that they felt like that's a void. Is they because I think that's often if you were to join a group like that, you're looking for a father.
Yeah. Yeah, that probably was. They just didn't.
And like, I mean, is it supremely culturally relevant to that time? I would have to ask you because I was too young to actually have
really
experience. That was late 90s. I believe 99 is exactly.
That's grunge, then.
And that
that's
seems
what
to
grunge
speak,
was.
yeah.
I mean, that's what grunge was. It was about absentee parents.
Was it like cocaine dads or like, why would that be
It's
so
just-
relevant? Or just there's so
There
many
was more-
people.
More divorce. I mean, over time, divorce rate just kept going up and up and up. So there's more divorce.
I mean, does that have a
A
direct
little bit of a breakdown of the
correlation?
nuclear family.
Is
latchkey kids.
feminism and
I don't know, maybe.
the rise of that during the 80s. Because, well, think about it this way, like women have more power economically, and that can create power structures within marriages that,
Cause them to break apart.
yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
where she's not dependent on
Right.
Mr. 9 to 5. Like, I'm
Right.
Betty Housemaker, I have no skills.
Right. I couldn't go out into the real world and work because I never acquired the skills. Or I'm not expected to.
Yeah.
And it's even frowned upon for me to do that.
And I have kids that I'm still like
Yeah,
looking
yeah.
after that I'm like deeply invested in because I raised them. Now we have households where like send the kids to daycare from fucking age 6 months to whenever, so you don't have, I mean, you have a really deep connection, but you have already established like, well, they're going to be at school because you already did that with daycare.
Yeah.
So there's less of a direct investment in the child.
That's economic, though, too. A lot of times there's two working parents because
They need to. Yeah, it's a necessity. But
that's a cultural thing, too.
Would economically, though, if there was a huge cultural shift where, let's say, the majority of women weren't in the workforce anymore, that would drive demand up, and therefore wages would go up. So couldn't it?
not enough to offset it.
Okay.
So
But also demand would go down for a lot of stuff too. Because they're like, well, okay, I'm making slightly more now as the sole whatever. But I mean I can't go like to the Bahamas every weekend or
Right.
you know. So
well,
we'll just
so the
live
family
according to our
income would
means.
drop.
Yeah,
per-
but when
per
cost
household
of
income.
living? I mean, everyone would have to get on board.
Not enough to offset it. Yeah, it would. Well,
how did it work during the 50s then?
We had the advantage of, I mean, it was a golden age for us because our country wasn't just decimated by war.
But you had a lot of just
We had all the factories. Everybody needed our stuff. Everybody, including all these people came home from the war, start a family, and they had bunches of kids.
Okay.
So demand was enormous.
But it was global. The global demand is what, and now it's the market globally is much more diverse.
Well, I mean, Germany, they completely rebuilt and became an economic powerhouse. Still are to a degree. Japan is. Even though we didn't really bomb Japan, even though we dropped 2 nukes on them as much as Germany or Italy or.
That is kind of crazy to consider. I wouldn't have thought Germany got it worse.
Yeah, well, yeah. Way worse.
And they surrendered first.
They didn't have any. They had. There was nothing left. I mean, they probably had 20 square blocks in Berlin that they were losing control of, but had temporary control of.
Yeah.
I mean, the Russians hated them. They wanted.
Were they the ones dropping bombs, though, or was it us?
It was both of us. We were coming in from 2 sides.
Wow. Well, yeah, I didn't know they were. I thought there was and I think this affected Germany too, but there was a huge supply shortage for both sides. I thought that there was a lot of Russian soldiers who, were just fighting without ammo, basically.
Probably,
you have this rifle and.
Well, yeah, because
you run out of bullets.
Just stretching. Yeah, I mean, you don't have unlimited physical materials.
Yeah, exactly. But how did they push through? Because Stalingrad was such a huge strain on them.
Mm-hmm.
How did they get to the point where they were eventually bombing Germany? Is my question.
Well,
not that I don't believe you, I guess.
I mean, as time goes on, they manufacture,
established
blah, blah, blah,
the
blah.
supply lines.
And they, once Stalingrad was over, there was no more threat from Germany. It was over. I mean, they captured, hundreds of thousands, but that was it. I mean, and they suffered, through that invasion, but then, at Stalingrad, it was over. Germany was essentially could not make war on Russia anymore.
But that was the beginning of the end. Period.
Yeah, right.
Is that they had fucked themselves.
Yes.
And then it's like sticking your hand in a garbage disposal, hoping to jam it, and just keep putting more and more of your arm in.
And once we're really, the thing was, once we had a beachhead on our side, it was basically over. Now they could.
Did they have a lot of tremendous U-boats, and that was why couldn't they just fucking cut it off from this, via the sea?
I never really thought about the U-boats because they were really successful earlier. I don't know, although within that, it's 20 miles from, I don't know where they set off from, and they landed in Normandy. But I think that there was air cover
for us
for the U-boats, and from my understanding is. U-boats can't operate if they don't have air cover, or if there's hostile air cover.
Yeah, so they just had no. Yeah, that makes sense. Speaking of Russia, the strife, much like how 60s and 70s film is, the new Hollywood era, is what that is, and it does extend into the 80s, but it was not quintessential new Hollywood era, right? In Russia, post-propaganda films are amazing. Even their propaganda films. I mean, War and Peace was propaganda. Waterloo is propaganda. Is it like the Sergei Eisenstein style of propaganda? Not quite, but it is to show the strength of the will of the Russian people. But it's the Tarkovsky, the people who are legitimate intellectuals
Mhm.
who make films like Stalker, which is to speak to the existence of people still seeking spiritualism, the lack thereof in the actual Soviet state, like contemplative films happening because of the circumstances they are in their country, is, or that it is like the starving artist kind of paradox, is the circumstances that got you there will eventually get you out of that circumstance. I mean, with him, it was different. You know, when he left Soviet, he was still a genius and able to make great films, but it was because he was in this fucking communist shithole that he had the life experiences.
Molded his way of thinking.
Yeah. I mean, those are films that are just like... And unless film as a medium is completely gone the way of the dodo, those films will persevere as far as I'm concerned. I mean, they are literally classic because the themes and the way that they're presented are just so intellectually taught. I mean, it's like it hits through the heart of what it's trying to communicate in a way that is understandable for me who's never experienced that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, there was a lot of... Yeah, I think the circumstances that they lived under made many people to become great writers and great filmmakers.
And that's not coincidental, I don't think.
No, I mean, think if you were like in this country, if you're from a very wealthy family, and you know all you're doing is having fun, and you know,
you just kind of, well, your job is to just keep the ball rolling, kind of.
Right, or you don't develop this deep understanding of the human condition.
Yeah, well, I guess it's like, I don't understand it fully, but you're right. I mean, you have to become something.
Yeah.
Because the weight of life is so suffocating that if you don't fight full-heartedly with
you
whatever...
soul search when you're suffering, I believe. You think about things. Not if you're getting, you know, you're a ladies' man and you party all the time. You don't think about stuff like that. You think about, what am I going to do tomorrow? This weekend I'm going to the Hamptons, or, you know.
Yeah. It is such an interesting thing to just frame like that, because I think oftentimes you're like, well, if you're like starving, or you're like, how am I going to pay this month's rent?
Yeah.
You would think you'd have no time
to think about
things like that.
Well, yeah, I mean, they were always some of them, I think, were just hand to mouth. You know, they were able to live and so forth. Just it was always a struggle. You know,
yeah.
It always were something worried about.
But in these communist societies too, they weren't going to suffer the idiots. If you were a piss poor filmmaker, you would never get to touch a camera.
Yeah.
And that's why, like a Tarkovsky, or like I saw a really fucking dope film probably like a month ago. I think it's called Dead Man's Letters, and it's about a post-apocalyptic world. And this guy is like, he had mentored under Tarkovsky. Super bleak film.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just commentating directly on like why we can't have a nuclear war between Russia and the U.S.
Yeah.
And it's just warning, like, this is how bleak and devastating this would be to people.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and the children would be completely, society would end. Which, you know, but the way it's like in the color that it communicates it with, not literally, because it's a very like monotone actual,
Gray.
yeah. But you get that, but you didn't get that with the Great Depression, as far as I mean, that was as we got out of it was almost as though the Great Depression, to my knowledge, And like I don't watch a great deal of 20s and 30s
Would
film.
be in the 30s.
The only shit
Grapes of
I watched
Wrath.
from then, yeah, I did, but yeah,
I mean, that's only one.
yeah. I mean, I saw that, and that almost feels like it's well. The Dust Bowl coincided with.
Yeah, that's what
Great
the Grapes
Depression.
of Wrath is. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, right, same time.
Right. Okay, I watched that, and yeah, it was good, but you don't get that same parallel that you see with the great suffering from other countries and how that.
Yeah. Well, one is imposed, and the other one is just circumstances beyond their control completely. You know,
Yeah.
like our government wasn't trying to do things to cause the depression, whereas Soviet repression that's our government. That's how they operate. You know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What? How can you rebel against economic hardship?
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, it's a valid point. I think we covered some really
We did.
cool stuff.
People
Your-
better like it.
Your historical insight, it was invaluable as usual. Is there anything else that you really wanted to touch upon?
No. Those are all of them. There's so much you talk forever about it, you know, because it's all intertwined, culture and when we're talking about movies, but culture and movies, it's all in. Now, not everyone necessarily is, but there's some aspects that probably, to a lesser degree or more degree, are reflective of culture, you know.
Just the last discussion point. Why do you, I know you don't actually, maybe you do, maybe you don't. But 2010s and 2020s are generally not looked, even 2000s, aren't looked upon fondly in comparison to the decades before that precede. And do you think that's, is that because there wasn't the type of cultural hardship that we had almost
the 90s
met?
weren't bad times. The 80s were great times.
The 90s was like a renaissance of film.
It's
Frankly,
probably a cycle, but
I
also
think
it's a
the 80
type of technology. So movies, well, and I don't know how long it's affected it, but like with streaming, it's just changed everything.
Yeah, I guess it's more economic than anything.
Yeah.
Like, here's the way I see it: is like the 2020s and even the 2010s are like hyper 80s, and what I mean by that is 80s was when the blockbusters had been fully fledged, established, and let's create franchisees and make a fuck ton of money. Let's have this big movie. It'll, make the majority, and that's what the 2010s and 2020s were built upon.
Could
I
be.
mean, we talked Marvel, but I mean that is the prime example.
Yeah.
And that is, I think, if you look back at film for that time period, that's going to be the watermark that is
It could come
most
back,
thought of.
the pendulum swings both ways. But who knows? There's got to be some kind of moment that perhaps changes it. But I don't know. It could be a dying art. It could be AI. It could just completely change it. Streaming has already. There's more movies. There's less that are worth going to a theater for. I don't know. I mean, who knows the future? I don't know. Could be specific geniuses that, churn out some really great films.
I do foresee probably towards the end of this decade that we return to an edge that is reminiscent of the late 90s. That's my personal opinion, because I think there's beginning to be more disaffected people. The distrust of the government has already begun to really take hold.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to get more extreme before it maybe is completely quelled. And I bet in 4 to 5 years is when we're going to start to see it really impact film in a way that'll probably be like cool.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at the late 90s, those movies were pretty fucking sick.
Yeah.
And I that's the way I see culture shifting personally, because I think people are looking at big institutions and really
With distrust.
yeah, the anti-establishment era is coming to a head,
Yeah.
and that's generally when good films are made.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, I don't know. I think it's because it feels like it's the will of the people. It feels like it's giving a voice to what everyone's feeling.
Yeah.
And those movies connect on a deeper level than escapism films. Those aren't really.
No, those aren't meant to do that.
Those are hero. It's a dream.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like you're shutting your eyes for 3 hours or however long.
Alrighty.
Yeah. Well, mark my words on that. We'll
You're
look back.
wrong. I'll write this down. Mail a letter to myself.
You'll Mel Gibson yourself.
You. Yeah.
Bye, y'all.
Bye. Thanks.